Hey everybody, it's your hospitality friend Glenn here in Las Vegas. And before I bring in this guy, I want to thank our friends over at Actabl. Actabl, they give you the power to profit. All right, so I'm in Las Vegas. I know what you're thinking, but no, I'm working hard. I'm working hard for you. And I found Tobin Ellis over here who creates bar designs and has been doing it for like 30 years or something like that.
It's about a minute.
A minute, yeah. Which is really important. And the reason why I wanted to talk to Tobin today is he is really an expert at helping you maximize opportunity in the bar space. You think your bar is running at full capacity, but it's not. Isn't that right?
Well, right, because everyone that operates knows it's that peak volume. That's when you have to take every dollar that's on the table. And now you're competing for a global guest and you're not getting 3, 4, 5 swings at the bat.
Right.
The guest comes in, if you're lucky, you got one shot, they're sampling, they're Instagram collecting, they're just going around the world. You're not competing with the bar next door, you're competing with the bar across the country and across the world.
Right. And we're talking about luxury hotels here. And we know that we're talking about those two shifts in the market. You've got everybody else, and then you got the luxury end. And when you're dealing with that luxury product, you have a lot of opportunity to make more money, particularly on the beverage side of things, by doing the right way. And when I was talking to you before we turned on the camera, it's interesting to me, you could think you're doing great, but really you might be mired in a sea of lost profit opportunity.
It's invisible. It's invisible. Yeah. It's you're bleeding cash invisibly. You don't see it, so you don't think about it. And if we were able to make it visible to you, everybody would stop and go, we need to fix this.
Right.
And the smart luxury operators are, and those are the ones I work with quite a bit.
Yeah. They
recognize, for example, I was just telling you, we did a risk assessment for a capital asset manager, and we had a rooftop bar in South Beach, and it was 7.2 seconds per bartender is what they were losing. We did a time motion study and waste walks, and we quantify everything. We evaluated the design and showed them that if we put it all together, that's about 1.1 million a year in lost beverage revenue. And when you're looking at the 10 to 12 multiples that the luxury segment is in, you're talking about now $10 to $12 million in valuation for the asset owner.
Wow.
So my whole job is seconds and steps. I'm trying to do on the guest side and the bartender side, I'm trying to help them be healthier, happier, right, have a better experience. But on the investor side, the asset owner side, we're looking at you're leaking one of your most profitable centers in the hotel in ways that you can't see or you don't understand. And the people mostly who are designing bars, they're selling equipment. They know kitchens. Right. This isn't their wheelhouse. This is my wheelhouse. So I come in and help people understand why all these little tiny things matter. And we just give them these beautiful blazing engines that are tailored to their workflows, their SOPs. If they're they got a CBA because they're union, whatever it is, we've been there. We help them navigate, because now hotels are it's all about conversions. Conversions were 20% of hotels pre-COVID.
Well, these guys know it. These guys know it.
40 to 50% now are conversions, and renos are extremely challenging to do behind bars, so that's kind of my specialty.
Oh, and it's also one of those things, a lot of you right now, he just brought up the conversion thing, you might very well be in the middle of a PIP to reinvent your property, and that's a perfect time to get somebody like Tobin over here. And by the way, I'm not getting paid for any of this, I just think I want to help you folks out there. I know how important it is to really think about it. So getting into it a little bit deeper now, you say the problem is invisible. How do you start to turn the invisible into the visible? What should they be looking for immediately to know that they got to call on somebody like you?
Absolutely. So there's really 3 things you can see with your own eyeballs, and you don't need training to do it. 1, you can look on a camera, or you can just walk through glass at your bar or in the hotel lobby. If your bartenders are walking, that's called non-value time.
Right.
So there's no value in walking. They have to walk, of course, but there's no value. The value is in production.
Wait, hold on. What about those 10,000 steps I'm supposed to get every day?
You shouldn't be getting them at your job.
That's right.
That's the problem. The 10,000 steps is the problem.
Yeah.
So the more you see bartenders walking, the less they're connecting with guests, the less they're ringing, the less they're producing. So that's number 1.
Wait, hold on. Let me I want to stop you, because I want to go maybe through examples, right?
Yeah.
When I'm a customer sitting at the bar, I'm always amazed by they take my order and then they disappear, and then they come back with the glass, and then they maybe fetch something, and then they go away again. And then the same thing when it comes to paying for it. Nothing is close. They're moving. And if they're not helping me immediately, they're certainly not helping anyone else and ringing up sales.
Bingo. And 20 years ago, when I was looking at all this from the ops side, I was doing a lot of training and programming and opening hotels around the world.
Yeah.
And I realized there was this thing we had to do to give people a framework. And that framework I created was called Zero Step. And Zero Step was a biomechanical bartending theory, which I now apply to design. And the whole idea is bartenders shouldn't have to move to do 80% of their job. They should only move when they're engaging with a guest to get to the guest, or because they want to. But they shouldn't have to take 2, 5, 10 steps 2 ways to pour a beer, to get a glass, to grab a bottle. If the bar is designed with zero step in mind, it brings back a lot of that invisible leakage and you recapture that. But more importantly, if the bartender has to bend over, stoop, turn their back, run around, they can't have a conversation, they cannot connect with the guest. You get that one chance to capture that guest and turn them into a brand loyalist, right, a promoter. But if the bartender, the people they're engaging with are running around and they're invisible, they're disappearing, that's not happening anymore.
Wow.
So it's a really important part of both sides of the equation. It's part of the brand building, the brand retention and equity. It's also a huge part of the revenue and the revenue capture, which leads to the valuation. It's like every metric that hotel operators and owners want to improve.
Right.
It all comes to the engine. That's why the most famous, successful company on the planet of building and operating bars for 65 years called the bar the engine that drives the restaurant. It's the rest of the business. People walk in from the lobby, they check in, where do they go? They sit at the bar. They're waiting to meet someone for a meeting, for a conference, they go to the bar. After the conference, they go to the bar. Where are they going before dinner? The bar. It's a key pivotal guest touch point that is underlooked and underdeveloped.
And the invisible, and the invisible stuff that they don't see is, using me again as example. I come in, I have a drink, but man, it's difficult to get that person's attention. They're running around, they're all over the place. So now I'm not getting that second drink.
Exactly.
Or I walk in and I see the flow and I'm like, I can't deal with this, or I wait for 10 minutes and then I'm out.
Exactly. There's no experience and there's no immersion and there's no experience if you're waiting 10 minutes for a drink. It all breaks down. The other thing too is that there's a lot of decisions that are made where they don't have someone who understands this in those rooms, in those meetings. And I mean, even when there's an architect and interior designer, like, oh, we have this fantastic idea. There's a hotel here in Vegas that built a beautiful looking bar. And we walked in for the first time. It's a brand I work with. And the bartender takes our order and I'm like, something smells fishy here. And they disappear behind a corner. And I went, oh, that's not a bartender. That's a server standing behind a bar. There's no equipment. There's just wooden shelving. And there's a service bartender hidden in the back corner pumping out all the drinks. The server doesn't know how to talk to us like a bartender does. They don't understand the product. They don't have that constant connection and energy. They're order takers. And so bar people want a very specific experience. They expect a higher level of hospitality and service at a bar. That's why you sit there.
Well, it's where the cliche comes from, right? That you tell the bartender everything and they're like your psychologist and stuff. You don't hear things like that from the server point of view.
No, it's the most high touch back and forth frequency of a guest interaction inside of a hotel. There's no other department or touch point where the guest is constantly interacting with a staff member. Table service is a totally different flow. It's a totally different rhythm. It's come up, high touch, disappear, come back 5 minutes later. Bartender, it's every 30 seconds, every minute, every 2 minutes, unless it can't be because of the way that the bar is designed. And it's not just the equipment. It's the back bar. It's the shelving that goes up 30 feet that no one can reach. That has to be cleaned, that costs money. It's the counter that's too thick, too high, too low. It's all the things that make it harder to have a smooth, flowing, frictionless experience inside of a hotel, especially in the luxury segment, that could have been fixed in design. That's what I spend most of my time doing.
That's right, because we've been talking a lot about what you see at the end, but you can't have a functioning end unless you plan every step that gets you there, from the time the alcohol is delivered to where you get your ice and how all the drinks are actually constructed in front of the bartender.
All the support, all the volumes, the size of the ice machines, the locations, the water systems. And it's not just the stuff that like a food service designer does. I'm talking about having someone who is an expert, because they were the one weird thing, the unusual thing about my career is I spent 20 years as a very high performing bartender. New York, Vegas, and DC, did very, very well. And I was always one of the top performers everywhere I worked. That's who you want designing your bars, because you want to design your bars for the top performers, not the middle or the bottom. The better you design a bar, it makes the bartenders better and faster, and they don't even realize it. That cannot come from anyone except someone who actually was a high-performing bartender. No chef, no architect, no food service consultant can possibly understand those little things that make all the difference. And that's why I do a lot of ghost designing for all those parties. I've designed stuff everywhere in this country. My name's not on the title.
Don't tell me you designed Casper. Sorry.
No, I didn't. Casper's on. That was
oh wait, you're an '80s kid, so maybe you did Pac-Man game Ghosts.
Pac-Man Ghosts. I know Casper too. And if you want that friendly experience that Casper would give, You got to be able to have people involved in
Yeah.
all the OAC meetings, all the design meetings, because we have great interior design firms. We have amazing architects. We have great food service consultants. We already have those pieces. The missing piece for the last 50 years has been a bar design specialist and or a really strong bartending mind involved in the planning of the most critical space for high throughput profitability in the bar, restaurant, hotel, or casino or stadium, which is
Yeah, and let me open this up. My favorite file, the file of you don't know what you don't know. All of these designers, they may be at the top of their game, but if they haven't actually physically behind the bar, they're just things that they don't know because they've never been exposed to that and they've never considered it. That's why getting somebody like you really can focus on all of those nuances from decades of experience by going, oh, if I did this, I could save a step, and then that'll save 5,000 hours a year or whatever.
You know, one of the things that I specialize in is ergonomics, and I've been doing this for 22 years, and a lot of that's in a book that I wrote. We can chat about it at the end, but the top things that no architect, no interior designer, no food service consultant is going to talk about, ask them about these three things: neutral spine, zero reach envelope, and zero step. They might have heard of zero step because a lot of people got really excited when I shared this theory with them, and it's in the book, but these other things are like, what is that? That's the whole point. If a bartender is bending, straining just to reach the counter because of some strange, fancy, tall equipment that pushes them away from the counter, they're further from the guest. They're hyperextending their limbs and joints. They're C5, they're C6, they're getting repetitive stress injuries. Your insurance premiums are going up. They're less likely to want to work behind that bar. And today's employees are so choosy because they know they can get a job anywhere. So they're looking for a high-performing workplace. They're not settling as we used to for whatever there is just to get a job. They can be picky now, and they are being picky.
All right, so you all are having trouble hiring people too. So we're helping talk to you about breaking through to have more people, retain them. They make more money. You make more money. Customers are super happy. Dude, this is a great virtuous circle.
It really is a virtuous circle. And it's lowering that quarterly turnover. It's keeping that employee retention and all those NPS scores in every department up. It is every single, I used to do a ton of consulting. So I used to work and manage behind every bar I designed, and that learning was unbelievable. But I was doing programming, I was writing SOPs, I was doing, working with CBAs, with unions and rewriting their CBAs, I was doing union reclassifications, every kind of thing you can think of. And the more I did that, I realized, you know what the missing piece is? Like, I keep inheriting these terrible bar designs that are preventing us from breaking through all these things I've been asked to do. I have got to figure out how to get more involved in design. And so 20 years ago, I just started telling my clients, I don't take the job unless I design the bar. And that has made massive, massive improvements. I mean, we're talking about numbers people don't believe. They don't believe the lifts that we get. So everything I have, I just document and I show it to them. I put them on the phone with former clients. So they know, look, this stuff is real. We can capture those points.
I'm not going to tell you those numbers, but I've heard about them, and it is legit, I promise you. All right, you got a book?
I do. This is Bar Design Essentials.
Awesome.
Amazon. Ebook is on Apple Books. This is, people say to me, well, it's great, you're probably really expensive, we're not sure we can hire you. Well, what can we do that's less expensive? Well, kick it off. You can get Bar Design Essentials, and it's 250 pages, dimensions, diagrams, practices, principles, all the stuff we've been talking about. It's crammed in here, and it's super easy to search, so it's both reference and also inspiration. And this is for architects, designers, asset owners, independent owners, managers, bartenders, barbacks, anybody in hospitality that just wants to be ready for when that CapEx becomes available and there's some little change you might be able to do. All the little things where bar design goes off the rails, this is what keeps it on the rails. And that's what I did for that. You can also just skip through it all, and there is a line of equipment I designed for Perlig, which most people know the name. And it had my name on it for a decade, Tobin Ellis signature series or collection, but it's a cockpit design, and that has a lot of these intelligences built into it. So it's 3 ways that you can improve. You can contact me at Studio Bar Magic, you can buy the book, or you can buy the Perlig equipment. But maybe there's a few nuggets you got right off of listening to this, so I appreciate it.
Well, I hope they did. Guys, there's so much more money to make out there. We're here to help you. Like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of good stuff. I want to thank good friends over at Virgin for allowing us to shoot this video over here. We'll see you next time right back here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. See you later.